Hey everybody, my name is Jacques, and I'm launching a YouTube channel to offer a fresh new learning resource to all you out there studying the French language. During my many years of living in France, studying French, and eventually tutoring French, I've learned some great hacks which can leverage your knowledge of the English language to actually simplify learning the French language. Many French language study methodologies, especially immersion-style learning, avoid these tips and tricks because their theory is that you should be thinking about speaking, writing, and reading French in French. While that's a good long-term goal for someone learning French, the reality is that most of you watching this are probably just trying to get through your next high school quiz and earn a good grade to get into college. So my goal is that I can help you grasp some of these grammatical concepts more quickly so that you actually enjoy French class and hopefully stick with studying it. Now today I'm going to start with the if-then clauses and verb conjugations using the French word for if, which is si. If you're struggling with this, then I have some good news for you. We have the exact same constructions in English, and so learning how to do it in French is really just a few simple formulas to help you make the conversions. Those of you who enjoy math may particularly find this approach useful. I'm not going to get into the actual verb conjugations here since that's a different topic, so I'll just assume that you either know how to conjugate these verbs already or you can look it up elsewhere. We'll start with the simple and intuitive verbs of arrive and eat. We can assume the context here is that I am making you eat when I arrive, okay? So in English, we would simply say, if I arrive, then you will eat. The formula we can derive from this is if, then a present tense verb, followed by future tense. So if arrive, which is present, you will eat, which is future. So translating this into French, we translate if to si, and then we have our présent in French, and then futur. Pretty simple there, right? Basically the same words from English. So then plugging in our example here, we have si, I arrive in present tense, you eat, future, right? So we're slowly converting here from the English to the French. Adding in the French words, si, je, which of course is I, arriver, which is the verb to arrive, and we're going to then conjugate that in present tense. Then the second part of the clause will be tu, as in you, and then manger, the verb to eat. So again, moving this further into French, you would have si j'arrive, present tense, tu mangeras, future. So for the second set of examples for conditional, we also have something we could say in English, which is if I arrived, then you would eat. So in this case, the formula is if plus an indefinite past tense, also called the past progressive in English, followed by the conditional tense. So in French, these are referred to as si plus imparfait, followed by conditionnel. Now, it might seem confusing to use the past tense when you're not actually saying that you did something in the past, but instead you're actually speaking hypothetically to introduce or suggest that you could possibly do something in the future, right? So I could arrive and then you would eat. You're not saying it did happen, you're saying this is what could happen. So again, the good news here is that this is actually what we do in English, so we already know how to do this intuitively. Applying it to French, what we get is if I arrived, again in the imperfect, then you would eat. Again, that's conditional. So again, moving that from English to French, we put in the French words si, je, and then arriver, which we will be conjugating into imperfect, imparfait, and then tu, manger, conditional. That gets us to si j'arrivais, again, conjugated in imperfect, tu mangerais, conjugated in the conditional. The last set of examples here is again something that we would say in English. We could also say, if I had arrived, then you would have eaten. So this last version may seem to be the most complex, but again, we can just simply fall back on what we naturally say in English and convert it into French here. So the formula here that we can derive is if I had arrived, which is the past perfect tense in English, then you would have eaten, which in English we call the conditional perfect. So converting that to French, we have si, je, and then arriver, which will be conjugated in the plus que parfait, tu mangeais, which will be conjugated in the conditionnel passé. That brings us to si j'avais arrivé, tu aurais mangé. If you found this to be helpful and have anything else about the French language that you're trying to learn, then please leave comments and I'd be happy to produce more lessons as soon as I can for you. À la prochaine! Au revoir!